Okay, dear friends, I want to share with you an amazing Rosh. If you're hearing this Rosh at 12 o'clock Sunday afternoon, you must have done a very big mitzvah. I don't know, must be somewhere in the last week to be zoicha to hear this Rosh. You think you could just hear a Rosh? You think everyone could hear a Rosh? No. You need to have a special zechus to hear this Rosh. Okay? So you were selected min hashamayim. Hashem said, I need a few good Jews. I want to give them a matana toiva. I want to give them happiness. I want to give them great bracha to hear a Rosh. The Mishnah says that if somebody says, Mudrani mimcha, mufrashani mimcha, meruchukani mimcha, I'm vowed from you, I'm separated from you, I'm distant from you, that what I'm going to eat from you, that what I'm going to taste from you, Asr. Why? What do we call that? That's Yados Nedarim. That's the case of Yados Nedarim in the Mishnah. What's Yados Nedarim? But why is he Asr? He didn't say that I'm separated from you as an Isser, or like a Karban. He didn't say Kikarban, or he didn't say Isser. Yeah, but he suggested that he wants to create an Isser, so he's given us enough reasonable clues to understand he really wants to make a neder. Yeah? Says the Rosh, on the bottom Rosh on the page, the Rosh says, Kol hani mikri yados, kamoi beis yad hakli. It's like the handle of a kli. She'enoi ikar hakli. It's not the main part of the kli. But v'ha'oiches, by one who holds the handle, hakli oila imai, the kli goes up with him. V'kach, likewise, hanach yados, these yados, Einoi goimer dvarav lefarish neder. He's not completing his words to explain the neder. Ela haschala ba'alma. He's just making a start. Umitoicha nikar. From it, it's recognizable. Shadaitoi lidar. It's recognizable that he wants to make a neder. Umachashvinan le. We consider it ki'ilu gamar dvarav. We consider it even though he didn't say mudrani mimcha shani asur lecha mimcha. But we fill it in that he wants to aser. Ki'ilu gamar dvarav. If a Gemara mapiklu mikra, the Gemara learns that from a pasuk. Ask the Rosh. You ready? This amazing question. Why do we need to fill it in? Why do we need to fill in his words? Doesn't he want to make a neder? So even if we don't fill in his words, isn't he bound? Isn't he bound to keep his commitment? Because he's committing in his mind. Ask the Rosh, why do I need a drasha of Yados that if a guy says half a statement, we complete the word carbon or we complete the word Isser? Why do I need a drasha like that? But the guy wants to make a vow. Isn't a vow binding in your mind? If you commit to do something in your mind, you're not bound by it? Says the Rosh, even though he made up in his mind to make a neder, says the Rosh, no. Had we not considered it as if he emitted it with his lips, lo have a neder. Kedamrinam pergimel deshuos. Amar Shmuel, gamar belibay tzarich lahoitzi b'svasav. Like Shmuel said, if somebody commits to make a neder or a shvua, it's not binding because you have to say it with your mouth. Ish kiyidar neder laHashem oishav shvua lesser yisam. It has to be hoitzi b'svasav. The fact that he's committed. Let's say a guy says like this: if in his mind he's thinking, I want this thing to be usher to me. So isn't he, the Rosh is asking, isn't he bound by it? Why do we need to say, well, he said enough words for us to fill in the missing word isser or the missing word carbon? Why do I need that? We know he wants to prohibit. Isn't that knowledge that he wants to prohibit, won't that bind him? Said Rosh, no, it's not binding. A mental commitment is not binding. That's why we need to make it as if he said it. Okay, that's the Rosh. The Rosh's kasha is, why do we need to make it Michashvinan le ki'ilu gamar devarav. But isn't gamar belibai enough? The Rosh says not enough. Question. Is that true? Let's say somebody makes a mental, firm commitment. I am giving $100 to tzedakah. That's not binding? By kachim, it's binding, isn't it? Is it? I'm not hearing. Maybe you want to say something?
There's a machlokes Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shua, and Rabbi Lazar regarding picking a grape or a fig on Shabbos. If Rabbi Lazar holds, if you have in mind to pick the grape, and instead you pick the fig, you're chayiv. So the machshava is nothing. Rabbi Shua holds chayiv, but machshava is everything.
Mm-hmm.
We pass like Rabbi Shua, who says machshava doesn't matter. You don't care about machshava.
Well, maybe that's by Shabbos, because you dafka need meleches machshavas, but the question is there a concept of mental commitment? Does that have standing? So now we're going to go to one of the classic Sfarim on Nedarim. I even think it's such a classic sefer. Do I have it? Avada, I have it. Baruch Hashem. Check this out. I haven't opened this up in many years, this one. Shalmei Nedarim. Shalmei Nedarim is on Masechta Nedarim. One of the classic Svarim on Nedarim, Shalmei Nedarim. The Shalmei Nedarim, let's see if we could, was written by Alexander Sender in the city of Kupishak in the year 5641. That's tough. Reish Mem Aleph, 1881. Anyway, the Shalmei Nedarim asked the question of the millennia. Okay, you ready for this kasha? Unbelievable question. I knew you would like this. Do you see it? Shalmei Nedarim. You hear it? You see it? You ready? You with me? He quotes, "Beperish harash d'rei mascha l'chaver b'seif hadrei hamascha v'af agav degamar b'libay latler ilav dechashvinon le'ki'ilu haitzi b'svasav lo have a neder k'namrin peragimel d'shuas gamar b'libay tzarach lahaitzi b'svasav." Question. Fine. For a neder, you need to say it. Mental commitment is not binding. What about for kachim? For kachim, machshava works. So then for kachim, you don't need a din of Yados. You only need Yados by Nedarim because by Neder you need to say it. But let's say there would be a miksaya of Torah that you don't need dibur, machshava would work. You don't need Yados. So lefizeh bekachim, desagi b'machshava slave, afal pi shaloi hoitzi b'svasav, t'chsiv kol nediv leiv. Oilos, it should work. K'naminon sham b'shvuas. L'chayra nira diyad she'eno mechech pshita d'mahani bohu. A yad that's not conclusive should work. So then why do we say later on, Hareza chatasi, Hareza ashami, lo yamar b'klum? It's not a valid yad. You don't need yad by kachim because you don't have to say it. For kachim it's enough to think it. Kilchsiv kol nediv leiv. V'al karchat tzarch leimer. The ad kan loy kamin nesab kachim gam libai. Okay, right? You hear the kasha? The kasha of the Shalmei Nedarim is that the Rosh's answer, the Rosh's kasha is, why do I need Yados? But we know he wants to make a neder, so he's gamar b'libai, shouldn't that be binding? The answer is no. Machshava is not binding by Nedarim. Frak the Shalmei Nedarim, okay, Maybe by Nedarim Machshava is not binding and you need Dibur, but by Kachim Machshava is binding. So why does the Gemara later on speak about various Yados, whether they work or not? Who cares if they work? He wants to be Makdishit, and if you want to be Makdishit, it should be enough that you're a Gamar Belibai. Says the Shalmei Nedarim, what do you have to say? You know when it works to, you know when by Kachim it works to think something? You know why it works? Because you want it to work through thinking. But once you start to say something, that means you don't want it to work through thinking. You want it to work through Dibur. So now we have to declare, is this a valid Dibur, is this not a valid Dibur? Eina Chanami. It's true. If I wanted, I could have thought the Kachim and been Makdishit. But once I open up my mouth, I don't want it to be effective through Dibur. I want it to be effective through Machshava.
But it must be tight today, Machshava.
So in other words, Machshava could work, but only if I'm using that system. But once I open up my mouth, I don't want to use that system. You're saying the Dibur has to have been with immediately as the Machshava began, otherwise it would have been effective already?
Right.
I guess. But the fact that you opened up your mouth, that reveals that you only want to use a system of Dibur. And therefore, if you want to use a system of Dibur, it has to be a good Dibur. And then now the question is, so then that's not like the Rosh, because the Rosh, when he asked that, why do I need Yados? Let it work because I'm having Machshava. So the answer to that should be, let it work because I'm Machshava. I don't want to use Machshava. I want to use Dibur, and this is not a good Dibur. That's why I need Yados. In other words, the Shalmei Nedarim is asking that this answer of the Rosh is only effective for Nedarim. It's not effective for Kachim. And so must be for Kachim, we see. Why doesn't it work through your Machshava? Because you don't want to use a system of Machshava. So then the Rosh should have said that for Nedarim. I don't want to use a system of Machshava. That's why I need Yados. So that's only if you don't want to say anything. But if you want to say something, and with your lips you didn't use an effective language, migragara, it will be worse. Like by truma or maser, even though it's enough in machshava, if you're hoitzi b'sviv, it becomes worse. So now it's a question on the Rosh, because the Rosh should have given this answer. So if I could share with you what they say in the Olam HaYeshivas to answer the Rosh from this kasha of the Shalmei Nedarim, based on a Yisoid of Reb Shimon Shkap. That when the Torah says by Nedarim that a person could be mechadesh in Isser that the Torah didn't aser, is the person creating the holiest Isser? Like by Kedushin, that the person, that the mekadesh makes the holiest Kedushin? Or is that when the person makes the neder, the Torah puts the Isser on the person? And Rav Shmuel Rozovsky says as follows. Listen carefully. By hektish, the Rosh would agree. The Rosh would say that it's true, I could be makter something in my mind, but once I start to speak, my machshava will not help. You know why? Because I am choosing to utilize my own system of dibur and not use machshava. But we can't say that answer by Nedarim. Because by Nedarim, what are you going to say? Well, I'm choosing to use a system of dibur, and I don't want to use machshava. However, when I'm making a neder, I'm not the one creating the holiest Isser. The Torah is creating the holiest isser. So if I'm thinking that I want to answer this, even though I said words and the words are not good, and that shows I don't want to use the system of machshava, it doesn't matter. Because you don't really have a choice of what system you're using. It's what you want to make a neder, the Torah activates the neder. See, by kachim, you activate it. So if you activate it, by speaking, you're saying, I don't want it to be activated through machshava, I want it to be activated through dibur. But by neder, I'm never the one activating. It's always the Torah. And how does the Torah do it? The Torah does it because if you want to do it, the Torah activates it. So if I want to make an neder, even though I'm saying words that indicate I want it to be through the system of dibur, but if I'm not the one creating the isser, I can't choose to say, I want it to work through dibur and not through machshava. You're not, pal, you're not the one activating it, it's the Torah activating it. So the Rosh is correct. The Rosh is saying, by Nedarim, the reason why it doesn't work is because there's a Chiddush Hakra. You have to say it, and if I don't say it, it doesn't work. Why didn't the Rosh say a better answer? The answer that works by Kachim, that I'm choosing to use the system of Dibur. When I choose to use the system of Dibur, Machshava can't work. No, that's only by Kachim, where I'm the operator. But by Nedarim, it sounds like, where I'm not the operator of the Isser, it's the Torah operating the Isser, I'm just activating it through my choice, so I made a choice. The answer is no, you have to say it. You know, maybe you could ask, well, even though the Torah is making the choice, can't I choose that I only want to activate it through Dibur and not Machshava? Anyway, the second Sugya that we sort of touched upon is this famous kasha of the Rosh. Namely, why do I need Yados, but I want to make a neder? Shouldn't that be effective?
Is answering it that you need dibur, you need a stronger announcement than just machshava.
I understand. That's what the Rosh says. The Rosh. The question is not why do you need dibur by neder and not by kachim. It's exeris hakasav. That kachim machshava works and nedarim machshava doesn't work. The question is, since anyway by kachim you're going to have to come on to the chiddush that if I am speaking, that means I'm rejecting the process of machshava, then the Rosh should have said the same thing by Nedarim. If I'm speaking, I'm rejecting the process of machshava. Why did he have to bring in, well, machshava doesn't even work by Nedarim? Anyway, by kachim, you have to come on to the idea that you're choosing not to use machshava. So why can't you say the same thing by Nedarim? I'm choosing not to use machshava. It sounds like you can't. That answer would not apply. I'm choosing not to use machshava because it's not up to me. Because I don't create the Yisr Neder anyway. You can only choose not to use machshava if you're the operator, namely by kachim. I'm the operator of the Yisr. When I speak, I create the kachim. So the question is, but I want to do. I'm doing it through machshava. So who cares if my words are not effective? No, the answer is I decided to use the mechanism of speech, and the speech therefore has to be good. But it sounds like by Nedarim, where I'm not operating the Isser. The Isser is the Torah's answering it when I want to. So if I want to, the Torah should slap it on me whether my words are good or not. No. And to that, the only answer is no. Wanting by neder is worthless. But if it would be worth something, despite the fact that I'm choosing to speak, that should not ruin the ability to do it through machshava unless machshava would not be effective. In other words, it sounds like by Nedarim, since the Torah answers it, if I could just effectuate it through machshava, it would work, even though I'm sort of showing that I want it to work through dibor. Because we don't give you that control, because you're not the one creating it. We'll only give you the control by Isser Kodshim, not by Isser Nedarim. That's what it sounds like. This is based on the idea of Rav Shimon Shkop that a neder, the Torah, places the Isser, as opposed to by Kodshim, where you create the Isser. Rabbi say, have a great day. Stay tuned for when we do Daf Dalet Amud Aleph, okay? Hatzlach Rabba. Kol Tov. Be well.
Where else do we have our machshava work?
Tzedakah. Tzedakah. Maybe. Because tzedakah might be like hektish. Okay, hatzlacha, kol tov. Maybe there's an opinion by Shlichus Yad